I burned my uncle's prized barbecue joint to the ground on the night he confessed to stealing my father's life, right there in the smoke-filled back room, with the flames licking up the walls like they were tasting the lies he'd fed us for 20 years. But as the sirens wailed closer, I realized the real fire wasn't the one I'd set. It was the one Dad had lit decades ago, burying a secret so deep it scorched my soul when it finally clawed its way out. And now, with the letter clutched in my fist like a loaded gun, I wondered if revenge would taste like ash or if it'd finally give me back the family I never really had. My name's June Harlan, and if you grew up in the sticky heat of East Texas like I did, you'd know the Harlan name means one thing: smoked brisket so tender it falls off the bone and hits your tongue like a sin you can't repent for. Dad's recipe wasn't just food, it was our legacy, whispered about in dive bars from Dallas to Houston. The kind of secret that turned a rundown pit stop into Harlan Smokehouse. A roadside empire that fed truckers, politicians, and even a few celebrities who swore it was better than sex. He'd guard that recipe like it was the family Bible, locked in a safe behind the walk-in fridge. Ingredients scribbled in code only he could crack. No one, not even Mom before she passed from the cancer that ate her slow, ever got the full list. It's got a kick that'll make you see God, Junebug, he'd say with that gravelly laugh, his calloused hands ruffling my hair as I perched on a stool, watching him tend the pit at dawn. I was 12 when Dad died. Heart attack, they said. But I always figured it was the weight of keeping secrets that finally crushed him. One minute, he was flipping ribs at the annual county fair, grease up to his elbows and sweat beading on his forehead like holy water. The next, he was slumped over the steering wheel of his old Ford, the keys still in the ignition. The coroner called it natural causes, but I saw the autopsy report later, traces of something off in his blood, like he'd been pushing too hard. Chasing ghosts. Uncle Ray stepped in like the hero we needed. Ray Harlan, Dad's younger brother by 5 years. All slick charm and easy smiles. The one who'd skipped town after high school to chase oil rigs in Midland before slinking back with empty pockets and a silver tongue. He took over the smokehouse, turned it into a chain, 3 locations now, with neon signs and merch that says Harlan Heat. It'll burn you good. He made me a partner on paper when I turned 18, said it was Dad's wish. For the blood.
June.
We're all we've got left.
Blood.
That's what he always harped on. Family first, no matter what. I bought it hook, line, and smoker. Worked doubles flipping chickens, scrubbing pits until my hands blistered, dreaming of the day I'd tweak the recipe just enough to make it mine. Ray treated me like the daughter he never had, bought me my first truck, a cherry red Chevy that guzzled gas like my regrets would later. He even set me up with Tommy, his right-hand man at the original location, a broad-shouldered ex-linebacker with a grin that could melt ice and eyes that promised forever. We got hitched in a quickie courthouse ceremony 2 years back, right after the second smokehouse opened in Austin. Life was settling into that American dream rhythm. Long hours, cold beers on the porch, and the faint hope that one day I'd have kids to pass the pit to. But cracks started showing last summer, right around the 4th of July when the heat wave turned the air into soup and the brisket orders tripled. Ray was jittery, snapping at suppliers over the phone, his face flushed redder than our signature sauce. Damn it. June, where's the oak? We're short on the goddamn oak, he'd bark, pacing the prep room like a caged panther. I chalked it up to stress. The chain was booming, but so were the bills. Then came the audit. IRS showed up unannounced, flipping through ledgers like they were hunting witches. Turns out, someone had been skimming fake invoices for spices we never ordered, Cash funneled into offshore accounts that traced back to
Me.
my name on the signatures, my social on the wire transfers. 20 grand gone.
Poof.
Like smoke up the chimney. I didn't do it. Swear on Dad's grave. I didn't touch a dime. But the evidence was ironclad, forged just sloppy enough to point fingers my way. Ray stood by me in the boardroom, his hand on my shoulder, voice steady as he told the suits. June's family. Mistake or not, we'll make it right. He covered the shortfall out of pocket, kept the feds at bay with lawyers fancier than his beyond-the-lookout ties. Tommy believed me too, held me through the nights when the panic attacks hit, whispering, "You're clean, baby." We'll prove it. But whispers spread faster than sauce stains. Customers side-eyed me at the counter. Suppliers haggled harder. And Ray's eyes.
God.
Those eyes started lingering a beat too long. Like he was weighing something heavier than brisket. That's when I found the letter. Not in some dusty attic or hidden drawer, no. It was tucked inside the recipe safe. The one Ray had upgraded after Dad died with a biometric lock that only he and I could open. I'd gone in late one night, after closing, to snag the master list for a catering gig. The safe hummed open to my thumbprint, and there, wedged behind the laminated card with Dad's scrawled notes, salt, pepper, garlic, cumin, and that mysterious essence he never named, was a plain white envelope, unsealed, addressed to Raymond, in Dad's shaky hand. No stamp, no postmark. Just words that hit like a cast-iron skillet to the skull. Ray, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And you know why. The fire in '03 wasn't an accident. I covered for you, took the fall when the inspectors came sniffing. That warehouse blaze, the one that torched half the county supply chain, your shortcut with the wiring, your greed to cut costs on that expansion you pushed. I signed the false reports, buried the evidence, let them blame shoddy equipment from the old pit. Cost me everything, the trust fund we'd built, the expansion dreams, even June's college money when the fines hit. But blood's thicker. Brother. Don't make me regret it. Burn this.
Love.
Harlan. My knees buckled right there on the concrete floor, the envelope crinkling like dry leaves under my fingers. Dad hadn't died of a heart attack. He'd been poisoned slow by guilt, by the lie he'd swallowed to protect Ray. The traces in his blood? Stress meds mixed wrong. Or maybe something Ray slipped to keep him quiet. And the skimming? That was Ray's payback. Framing me to test my loyalty. Or worse, to push me out so he could sell the chain to some corporate vulture. The pieces clicked, the jittery calls, the audit timing perfect after I'd questioned his creative accounting at the last family dinner. Tommy's late nights at the Austin spot, covering for Ray's meetings. Even our marriage felt tainted now. Had Ray planted him to keep tabs on me? I didn't cry. Not then. I folded the letter back into its envelope, slipped it into my bra like contraband, and locked the safe with hands that didn't shake. Revenge isn't a flash fire, it's a slow smoke, seeping in until everything's infused. First, I needed proof. Real proof. Not just Dad's ghost whispering from the grave. So I started digging, quiet as a cat in the alley behind the smokehouse, sifting through Ray's office files under the cover of inventory counts. Trash bins overflowed with shredded receipts, payments to a PI firm in Dallas, emails printed and diced about monitoring JH. For discrepancies. JH, June Harlan.
Me.
And deeper in, a manila folder labeled 03 Blaze Contingency, with photos of the burned warehouse. Charred beams marked with Ray's red pen. Wiring fault, Harlan Sr. Oversight. Lies. All of it. But enough to build a case if I played it right. Tommy noticed the change in me first. You look like you swallowed a wasp. Junie, he'd say over breakfast tacos, his fork pausing midair. I'd force a laugh, kiss his stubbled cheek, but inside, I was mapping escape routes. Could I trust him? Ray's shadow loomed too long. One night, after a shift that ran till 2 a.m., I tailed him from the Austin location. Parked my truck a block away. Engine off. Watching as he slipped into a motel off I-35. The kind with hourly rates and flickering vacancy signs. Ray's Cadillac was already there. Pulled around back. I didn't need to see more. The muffled voices through the thin walls. The laugh that was too familiar. Betrayal's a bitch when it doubles down. Twisting the knife from 2 angles. But I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I reached out to Lena, an old friend from community college who'd gone straight edge after law school. Now clerking at a firm in Tyler that specialized in corporate fraud. Hypothetical, I told her over burner phone from a Waffle House booth. Voice low as the hash brown sizzled. I read her the letter. Sketched the audit. The files. She whistled low. This ain't hypothetical.
June.
It's arson cover-up. Embezzlement. Maybe manslaughter if your dad's death ties in. But you'll need hard evidence. Witnesses. Not just paper trails. And watch your back. Family like that? They'll flip faster than a bad brisket. She was right. Ray started circling closer. Dropping hints over pulled pork plates at the family table. Me,
Him.
Tommy, and Aunt Clara, who was too deep in her pain pills to notice the tension. Heard whispers about selling the chain.
June.
Big offer from that barbecue conglomerate out of Kansas City. What do you think? Partner's cut would set you up nice. His eyes gleamed.
Testing.
I smiled. Sweet as pecan pie. Sounds dreamy, Uncle Ray. But Dad's recipe stays in the family.
Right?
Blood first. He chuckled. But I saw the flicker, doubt. Or fear. The plan crystallized over sleepless nights. Staring at the water-stained ceiling of our double-wide. I'd expose him. But not clean. No. This was Texas justice. Eye for an eye. With a side of controversy that had split the county down the middle. Ray had taken Dad's dream. Framed me for his sins. Betted my husband. Now I'd take his empire. Brick by smoky brick. Step 1. The letter. I'd plan it where it'd hurt most. Not with cops, but with the people who worshipped Harlan Heat. Step 2. The fire. Not the whole chain. Just enough to torch his insurance scam. He'd been over-insuring. I found the policies buried in the files. Plotting a tragic loss to cash out big. I'd beat him to it. Make it look like his own greed backfired. But doubts gnawed like ribs on a bone. Was Dad any better? Covering for Ray's arson, that warehouse fire killed 2 migrant workers. Their families deported before the smoke cleared. Whispers of lawsuits hushed with Harlan hush money. Dad bore that sin. Let it fester until it killed him. Was I just picking up his torch? Burning brighter?
And Tommy. God.
The hurt, there was a fresh wound. Raw and pulsing. Forgive him? Or drag him down too? The hook was set. 4th of July weekend again. The fairgrounds buzzing with cotton candy and country tunes. The smokehouse booth slinging slabs faster than we could smoke. Ray was in his element, schmoozing the mayor. slapping backs with that salesman grin. I waited till dusk, when the fireworks cracked overhead like Judgment Day, and slipped into the back office. Tommy was there, alone, nursing a beer and scrolling his phone, probably texting Ray. "Junie," he started, but I held up the letter, let it dangle like bait. "Read it," I said, voice flat as the panhandle. His face drained of color as he scanned the words, eyes widening at Dad's confession. "Jesus.
June.
This is truth," I cut in. "And you're part of the lie." "Motel on I-35. Ring any bells?" He crumpled, tears streaking his face, babbling apologies about just once. "Ray said it'd help the business. Keep you safe from the audit mess."
Safe.
The word twisted in my gut. I wanted to hate him clean through, but seeing him break, shoulders heaving, the man I'd loved reduced to this, split me wide open. Punch him? Hug him? In the end, I just nodded. "Choose now."
Tommy.
Us or him. He chose wrong. Or right, depending on the light. "Ray's got dirt on me too."
June.
"Debts from before we met. He'll bury us both." That's when Ray walked in, catching the tail end, his face shifting from confusion to calculation in a heartbeat. "What's this? Family meeting without me." He snatched the letter, skimmed it, then laughed, a cold, barking sound that echoed off the metal walls. Old man's fairy tale. He was always dramatic. "That fire? Bad luck. Junebug. Your daddy signed off 'cause he loved me." Blood. Remember? Lies slithered out smooth as sauce. But I saw the crack, sweat beading on his upper lip, eyes darting to the door. Then why frame me for the skim? Why fuck my husband to keep tabs? The words hung heavy, fireworks popping outside like punctuation. Ray's mask slipped then, full ugly. "You were getting too close." Sniffing around the books. "Thought a little scared shut you up." And Tommy? Weak link. Needed leverage. He stepped closer, voice dropping to that oil rig whisper. "But we can fix this. Sell the chain, split the pot 3 ways." Dad would have wanted it. Wanted it? The man who died choking on your sins? Rage boiled up, hot as the pit coals. I lunged, not for him, but for the propane tank in the corner, the one he'd forgotten to check. Per the inspection logs I'd forged that afternoon. One twist of the valve, a flick of my lighter, and whoosh, the office erupted in orange hunger. Flames dancing up the walls like they were celebrating. Ray bolted, screaming my name, Tommy frozen in shock as I shoved him toward the exit. "Run," I yelled, but he hesitated, grabbing my arm. "June. Stop, this'll take us all down." And that's the split. The controversy that'd make the tabloids and barroom debates for years. Was I avenging Dad? Or just a Harlan unleashing the family curse? Ray escaped, coughing smoke, dialing 911 from the parking lot while I stood in the inferno's embrace, the letter curling black in the heat. Tommy dragged me out, burns blistering his arms. But not before the fair crowd saw Harlan's booth a bonfire beacon. Whispers turning to shouts. She did it. Ray's niece gone mad. Cops hauled me off in cuffs. Ray spinning tales of my breakdown, the letter dismissed as delirium scribbles from a dead man. But the insurance investigator? She smelled the rat, over coverage, forged logs, and a widow from the '03 fire finally talking after I slipped her a copy of Dad's words from jail. Trial was a circus. 6 months of headlines. Barbecue bloodbath. Niece torches uncle's legacy. Ray testified smooth, painting me as the unstable one. Tommy as the loyal husband caught in the crossfire. He took the stand for me. Finally, spilling Ray's motel secrets and debt threats. But the jury split down the middle. Half saw me as the wronged daughter reclaiming her due, half as the arsonist who'd risk lives for spite. Controversial decisions piled up, the judge allowing Dad's letter as evidence, over Ray's objections, but barring the PI files as hearsay. My lawyer argued manslaughter, Ray's arson killing Dad slow through guilt, but the prosecution flipped it. My fire endangered the fairgoers. 2 kids with smoke inhalation to prove it. In the end, they cut a deal. Manslaughter dropped to reckless endangerment. 5 years probation. Community service slinging trays at a rival joint. Ray kept the chain, barely. Insurance payout slashed after the feds reopened the '03 case, slapping him with fines that bled him dry. He sold to the Kansas City suits for pennies. Vanished to Florida with a trailer and a bottle.
Tommy?
He stuck. Divorce papers and signed. Tending my burns in a rented bungalow. Whispering forgiveness, like a prayer. We rebuild.
June.
Your way. But the twist? That came months later. Sifting through Dad's old trunk for mementos. Tucked in a cigar box. Another letter, this one to me. Dated the week he died. Junebug, if Ray ever shows his teeth. Remember, the recipe's real secret ain't spice. It's forgiveness. I covered for him 'cause he was me. 20 years back, greedy kid with big dreams. Don't let hate cook you like it did me. The essence?
Love.
Even when it burns. Yours?
Dad.
I burned it too. Out back under a harvest moon, ashes scattering on the wind like unspoken words. Was it happy? Tragic? Hell if I know. The smokehouse is gone, but I started a food truck, June's Redemption Ribs, no secrets. Just straight smoke and truth. Folks line up, debating my story over plates, splitting sides like brisket. And me, I taste the ash every bite, wondering if Dad's ghost approves, or if revenge just passed the curse along. The food truck life hit different, greasy freedom on wheels. No chains but the ones I chose. I'd park the beast. A retro Airstream I'd sunk my settlement into. At flea markets and tailgates from San Antonio to Shreveport, slinging ribs rubbed simple, salt, pepper, smoke, and a whisper of that essence Dad hinted at. No code. No safe. Just honest heat that made mouths water and tongues wag about the Harlan scandal. Ain't that the girl who torched her uncle? They'd mutter. But then they'd bite in. And damn if the flavor didn't shut him up. Forgiveness on a plate. Or so I told myself on the lonely drives. Radio crackling with Waylon Jennings crooning about mamas and outlaws. Tommy stuck around longer than I figured. After the trial, he sold his half of the old life, Ray's hush money, the truck payments, and bought in as my pit man. His broad hands steady on the smoker while his eyes searched mine for absolution. Nights were tentative, takeout from Tacarius, feet tangled on the fold-out couch, his fingers tracing the scars on my forearms from that fairground blaze. I should have told you sooner, he'd murmur into my hair, breath warm with regret. Ray had me cornered, debts from poker runs before we met. The kind that get your knees broken if you don't pay up. Motel was once.
June.
Swear it. To keep him off our backs.
Once.
The word hung like smoke, acrid and clinging. I wanted to believe him. Needed to. Because letting go meant admitting I'd burned my marriage down too. Collateral in my war. But trust? That's a slow thaw in Texas winters. I'd catch him staring at his phone sometimes, thumb hovering over deleted contacts, and the old fire would flicker, jealousy. Not rage, but enough to sour the sauce. We'd fight quiet, words like embers. You chose him once. What's stopping you now? He'd fire back. And you chose the flames over us. Risked everything on a ghost's grudge. Truth stung worse than hickory bark. We stuck it out, though, 'cause what else was there? Divorce felt like another Harlan failure. And the truck needed two to turn profit. Ray resurfaced that fall, right as the leaves turned gold and the state fair rolled into Dallas. I'd gotten word through Lena, now a full associate, pro bono on my redemption arc, that he was squatting in a double-wide outside Beaumont, nursing a liver pickled in rum and resentment. He's talking lawsuit, she said over coffee at a strip mall Starbucks, her power suit clashing with the fluorescent hum. Claims emotional distress. Wants a cut of your truck sales. Thinks the Harlan name's still his to bleed. Emotional distress. The man who'd framed me. Betted my man. Covered up deaths. Now playing victim? I laughed till it hurt. But inside, the hook yanked tight. Round 2.
Then.
Not fire this time. Smarter. Subtler. I'd drag his sins into the light. Let the public barbecue him slow. First, I leaked the letter. Not the original. Dad's words were sacred. Even in ruin, but a redacted scan. Anonymized just enough to protect the dead. Posted it to a viral foodie forum. True barbecue confessions with a throwaway account from the ashes of a family empire. The recipe that killed a dream. Comments exploded, outrage, skepticism. Armchair detectives piecing the '03 fire to Harlan headlines. Ray's name trended local. Old news clippings resurfacing like zombies. Warehouse blaze claims 2 lives. Owner blamed. The families of those migrants? One widow, Maria, reached out via Lena, her English halting, voice thick with 20 years grief. Senor Harlan paid us to leave.
Now.
Truth. We met in a park off the interstate. Picnic tables sticky with spilled soda. Her grandkids chasing pigeons while she unfolded a faded check. Hush money from Dad. Cashed but never forgotten. For my husband, Roberto. He fix wires. But boss say no overtime. Fire come fast. Her eyes. Dark pools of loss. Mirrored my own. I handed her the full letter. Watched her read. Tears carving tracks in the dust on her cheeks. You burn for us? She asked. No. I thought. For Dad. For me. But I nodded. And just like that, the alliance formed unlikely, controversial as hell. A white trash arsonist and a deported widow's kin, teaming up to topple a fallen king. Ray flipped fast when the heat turned his way. Showed up at the truck unannounced, mid-rush at a high school football game, parking his rust bucket El Camino crooked across 2 spots. He looked smaller, shrunken in a Hawaiian shirt too loud for the chill, beard grizzled white at the edges. Junebug, he called, weaving through the line. Voice pitched for the crowd. Family chat. The eaters paused. Forks hovering. Sensing drama thicker than gravy. Tommy stepped forward. Arms crossed like a bouncer. But I waved him off. Let Ray play his hand. I'd call the bluff. We retreated to the truck's awning. Away from the halogen lights and marching band blare. This shit online, it's you? Ain't it? Stirring ghosts for a buck. His breath reeked of cheap whiskey. Eyes bloodshot but sharp. I met his gaze. Steady. Ghosts stirred themselves. Uncle. Dad's words. Not mine. And Maria? She's got a lawyer now. Real one. Suing for wrongful death. His face twisted. Fear. Then fury. Then that slick pivot only cons pull off. Wrongful? Hell. I loved your daddy. Covered his ass plenty. That time he shorted the tax man on the first smokehouse build. Or when he betted the supplier's wife, and I paid the blackmail. Blood goes both ways. Girl. Betted the supplier's wife. The words landed like a sucker punch. Rewriting history in a heartbeat. Mom had miscarried twice before me. Stress. The doctor said. What if? But I shoved it down. Focused on the now. Doesn't change the fire. Or the frame job. Or Tommy. At his name. Ray's lip curled. Kid's a mark. I did you a favor, tested him. He failed. But hey, you kept him. Stockholm or something? Laughter bubbled up. Bitter. Favor? Like the audit that nearly jailed me. He leaned in. Voice a conspirator's hiss. That was business.
June.
Chain was sinking. Dad's recipe couldn't save it forever. Needed fresh capital. Your signature to grease the loans. You were. Expendable collateral. Expendable. The word echoed. A death knell for whatever brotherly bond Dad clung to. I saw it then. Ray wasn't just greedy. He was hollow. A black hole sucking light from anyone close. You're done, I said, voice low thunder. Maria sues. The forums eat you alive. And if that's not enough, I've got the PI files. Full set. Wired M to Lena this morning. Bluff, half of Anyway, but his flinch told me it landed. He straightened, mask cracking into something raw. You think you're better? Torching the booth. Risking those kids, that's on you. Blood or not. Dad'd spit on what you've become. Maybe. But as he stormed off, tail lights fading into the night, I felt the scales tip. Not justice. Exactly, too messy for that, but balance. Uneasy as a loaded smoker. Tommy waited inside the truck. Face stormy. He say anything about us? I shook my head. Lied easy now. Just bluster. But the seed was planted, doubt. The real arsonist. That night, as rain pelted the Airstream's roof like accusations, he confessed more, not once at the motel, but twice. Ray needed photos. Proof of loyalty. I thought it'd end there.
Twice.
The number carved deep. A brand I couldn't smoke out. We made love anyway. Desperate and clawing. But morning brought clarity. Trust's a recipe with too many variables. I filed papers by noon. Lena handling it clean, irreconcilable. No fault. Truck assets split fair. He took it quiet. Packed a bag. Left a note. Burn bright.
June.
Wish I could've. The fallout accelerated. Maria's suit hit the papers. Beaumont Blaze revisited. Harlan Air sued for 03 tragedy. Ray countersued. Wild claims of defamation. But the evidence piled. Witness statements from the fire. Archived logs Lena unearthed showing Ray's cost-cutting memos. Public split hard. Blue-collar forums hailed me a vigilante queen. Sticking it to the man who stuck it to her. Upscale rags called it vindictive vendetta in the heartland, painting Ray as the tragic uncle felled by a troubled niece's pyromania. Controversy brewed hotter than chili cook-offs. Podcasts dissected the Harlan curse. Ethicists debated family loyalty versus legal reckoning. Even Aunt Clara surfaced, sober for the first time in years, testifying to Ray's temper back in the day. The beatings Dad hid to keep peace. I kept slinging, truck rolling steady, but the weight pressed heavier. Dreams turned dark, Dad at the pit. Flames twisting into faces, Roberto's, Maria's, Ray's, accusing. Was I hero or heel? The line blurred with every plate served. Every nod of good on ya from strangers who didn't know the half. Then the call came. Late November. Wind howling off the Gulf like a banshee. Lena, breathless, Ray's cracking. Wants a meet neutral ground.
Tomorrow.
Says he's got something on you.
Me?
The bluff boomeranged. Heart pounding. I agreed. Neutral, a diner off 10. Formica tables and pie under glass. The kind of place secrets go to die. He looked wrecked, unshaven. Shirt untucked. Hands trembling around a coffee mug. Sit, he grunted. No charm left. I did. Wary as a stray. This ends.
June.
Maria drops suit. You pull the posts. We call truce. His eyes. Bloodshot mirrors of Dad's. Pleaded. I'm broke. Suits took the El Camino. Clara's got the trailer. One more hit. I'm done. Pity flickered. Unwanted blood. Damn it. What's the catch? He slid an envelope across. Thicker than Dad's. Read. Inside photos. Grainy but clear.
Me?
Age 16. At a party in the woods, beer in hand. Joint passed my way. Underage drinking. Possession. Nothing major. But timestamped the night of a hit-and-run Dad covered. Some kid from the rival county crew. Totaled his truck joyriding. Dad paid off the family. Buried the report. I was the driver. High and scared. Dad taking the heat as mechanical failure. You think I didn't know? Ray said. Voice cracking. Dad protected you. Like he did me. We're all thieves in this family. Twist gut punched me. I'd blacked out that night. Woke in Dad's truck with him yelling about lessons learned. He never said, spare me the scar. Now Ray wielded it like a shiv. Expose this. And your redemption truck's ash. Truce. The diner spun. Pie steam mocking my nausea. Forgive? Or flip the table? Burn it all? Blood whispered yes. Justice screamed no. I left the diner with Ray's envelope burning a hole in my jacket. The photos like curses inked on my skin. Truce. The word tasted like surrender. But walking away felt like victory laced with poison when the war. Lose the soul. Back at the Airstream. Parked crooked in a Walmart lot for the night. I spread them out on the dinette table. Me, blurry-eyed and laughing. The wrecked Ford wrapped around a pine like a bad hug. Dad's lie for me, mirroring his foray. Cycle of sins. Harlan special. Tommy texted. Heard about the meet. You okay? First olive branch since the papers. I typed back. Getting there. Then deleted the thread. No room for half measures now. Maria called next morning. Her voice a mix of hope and steel through the crackle. Lawyers say good chance. Insurance from fire pay for kids' school. Her grandkids. Echoes of the lives Ray stole. But if Harlan uncle settle, we take. I waited. Her justice versus my unraveling. He offers truce. Drop suit. I pull the heat online. You get half, enough for the future. Silence stretched. Then her sigh. Heavy as Gulf humidity. For kids.
Yes. But you?
Fire inside you burn out.
No.
I thought. Just banked low. We agreed, contingent on Ray wiring funds by week's end. Lena drafted it ironclad. No loopholes for his snake oil slips. The announcement hit socials like a dud firework. Harlan feud fizzles, niece. Uncle called truce amid Blaze legacy. Comments Ward, sellout. Versus smart move. Let karma cook slow. Ray played penitent in a local news spot. Khakis pressed. Voice humble. Family's family. Time to heal. Bullshit. But effective. Sympathy swung his way. The reformed Rouet, narrative sticking like sauce on fingers. He wired the cash. Half to Maria. Half to a Harlan Victims Fund that smelled like PR spin. I pulled the posts. Watched the forums fade to echo chamber whispers. Truck sales dipped first week. Curiosity tax, but rebounded on the exclusive angle. June's redemption. The untold recipe. Untold.
Ha.
The real recipe simmered in solitude now. Truck solo after Tommy's final goodbye. He showed up at dawn. Duffel in hand, eyes red-rimmed from a bender or regret. I didn't ask. Truce with Ray mean anything for us? He ventured, leaning on the hitch. I poked the smoker coals. Sparks rising like unspoken truths. Depends. You want back in the fire? He shook his head.
Slow. Nah.
But I get it now. The burn. Wish I'd burned with you. We hugged awkward. His stubble scratching my cheek. Then he drove off in his beater. Taillights shrinking to pinpricks. Loss ached clean. No ash left. Winter clamped down hard. Frost rhyming the airstream like judgment. I chased warmer spots. Corpus Christi beaches for shrimp oils. Austin brews for fusion nights. But the road whispered doubts. Was the truce justice or just another cover-up? Ray vanished post-settlement. Rumor had him in Biloxi, dealing cards at a casino pit, chasing highs cheaper than brisket. Maria sent photos, her oldest graduating. Cap tassel swinging, caption gracias.
Fuego.
Fire. My gift and curse. Spring thawed the ice. Brought the twist I never saw smoking. Pulled into Tyler for Lena's wedding, her to a prosecutor with a jaw like granite. Ceremony at a vineyard outside town. I catered. Naturally. Pulled pork sliders with slaw sharp as testimony. Amid the toasts and twinkle lights. Aunt Clara cornered me by the dessert table. Her hands bird-boned but steady. Eyes clear for the first time since the pills. Ray called. From a payphone. Voice like gravel. Said to tell you.
He's sorry.
Real sorry.
Sorry.
The word hung. Absurd as a cold brisket. She pressed a key into my palm, small. Brass. Labeled Storage 7. Tyler Mini. He left it before skipping. For you. Heart thudding. I slipped out post-vows. Drove the truck to the facility under cover of dusk. The unit yawning open like a grave. Boxes stacked haphazard. Ray's cast-offs. Old ledgers. BOLO ties. A half-empty bottle of the sauceweed petal as vintage. Buried deep. A steel lockbox. Combination etched faint. Dad's birthday. Inside. Cash. Stacks of 20s crisp as new lies. 50 grand. Give or take. And a note. Ray's scrawl. For the blood. Use it right, start over. Not burn down.
P.S.
The essence? Whiskey. Dad's lie to keep us guessing. Love. Uncle. Whiskey. The impossible ingredient. A joke to mask the real secret. The family fractured. Held by hoaxes. I laughed till tears came. the sound echoing off cinderblock walls. 50 grand. Enough to buy land. Build a real spot. June's legacy smokehouse. No ghosts attached. Or burn it. Literal or not. One last fuck you to the cycle. I chose build. Wired half to Maria for a down payment on a food stand back home. Kept the rest for dirt in East Texas. A plot by the old fairgrounds where the booth once blazed. Groundbreaking was quiet. Me. Lena. Her new hubs flipping the first spade. No fanfare. Just sweat and soil. The promise of pits rising from nothing. But the debate? It lingers. Like smoke in your clothes after a long shift. Folks at the new joint soft opened last month. Lines snaking down the gravel drive, still split on the Harlan saga. June's a saint. Redeeming the rot, say the laborers over lunch breaks.
Nah.
She's the villain who profited off pain, counter the suits from the city. Sipping IPAs on the patio.
Ray?
Last I heard. He's cleanish in Biloxi. Dealing straights and sending postcards, blood's thicker than sauce. Forgive? I haven't replied. Dad's second letter haunts too, the one about love as essence. Tragic? Maybe. If you count the scars. Happy? In the bites that heal. The plates passed hand to hand without grudge. As for me, I tend the pit at dawn. Hands scarred but sure. Watching brisket blacken to perfection. The recipe's open now. Salt. Pepper. Smoke. A splash of rye. And forgiveness? That's the kick. Impossible till you taste it. But ask any Texan. Some flames never fully die. They just wait for the next dry spell.